not, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the motion carries. Next, do I have a motion that board members certify that only items on the closed agenda session were discussed in closed session?
So moved.
Motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Any other discussion? If not, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the motion carries. And now it's time for our Pledge of Allegiance. I understand we have a rock star that's gonna help us with the pledge today. No pressure, man. Give us a little. Whenever you're ready.
Thank you. Allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Maddie. Great job.
All right, good evening, everyone. As this is our first meeting of the calendar year, we will begin with the reorganization of the board. And so at this time, do I have any nominations for the position of chair?
I nominate Elliot Jenkins.
We have a nomination of Elliot. We have a second.
I'll second.
A second. Any other nominations? If none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we now have a chair.
Okay, thank you. So next up we have vice chair. Do we have any nominations for vice chair?
I nominate Chase.
Nomination.
He's
Do
all
we have-
gonna talk a lot.
do we have a second?
Second.
Second. Any other discussion? If not, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Congratulations, Mr. Evans. Appointment of a clerk. So,
Mr. Chair, it would be my recommendation that we appoint Mr. Leach, the Assistant Superintendent, as the clerk of the board.
I think that's a great recommendation. So do we accept that motion? Do we have a motion for that? A
I'm
motion
making
to accept Dr. Frazier's appointment.
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any other discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the motion carries. Congratulations, Mr. For now, glad to have.
No, he's doing a good job. It's just whether he wants to.
I have told him in 2025, we're gonna find him a deputy clerk, so now we're somebody better get ready. Or Maddie.
We need someone sassy back. Mr. Leach isn't sassy enough. All right, Dr. Frazier, do you have an appointment for your superintendent's designee?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I would also like to recommend Mr. Leach, Assistant Superintendent, to serve as the designee in my absence.
Thank you. Do we have a motion to approve Mr. Leach as the superintendent's designee?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any other discussion? If not, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Next up, establishment of meeting dates and times.
And, Mr. Chair, I would make a recommendation that we continue with our meetings on the third Tuesday of each month, with closed session beginning at 5 o'clock and our regular meeting beginning at 6. And in your packet, you should also have a list of all of the meetings for 2025, including our upcoming work sessions.
All right. Do we have a motion to accept the superintendent's recommendation for meeting dates and times?
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any other discussion? Not all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Moving along. Consent agenda. Do I have a have a motion to approve the consent agenda, which is the minutes from our general meeting in December.
So moved.
We have a motion, we have a second.
Second.
Any other discussion? If not, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Next, recognitions, Dr. Frazier.
All right. So this is always one of the best parts of our meeting where we get to recognize our students and our staff. And so we have been celebrating National Mentoring Month this month. We also recognize our principals, and we included our APs last week for National School Principals Appreciation Week. And at this time, I would like to call on our principals, Ms. Brick and Ms. Bird, to highlight their students, their RISE Awards, their students and staff of the month.
The elementary school recognizes Evelyn Carr, our second grader. She is our RISE Student of the Month. Every day, Edie shows bravery, is kind, hardworking, and a friend to everyone. She exemplifies the importance of relationships and excellence in her personal growth. She shares her talents in school with her writing, drawing, singing, dancing, and bringing joy by giggling with her friends. We are so proud of Evie. We can go on to the staff. Staff, okay. Our staff RISE Teacher of the Month is Miss Cheryl Davis. Miss Davis is a special education teacher. Celebrated for her ability to build meaningful relationships and her student-centered approach to learning. She is dedicated to helping all children succeed by finding innovative strategies and resources to meet their unique needs. Her work in kindergarten and first grade inclusion classrooms reflects her passion for excellence and care for every student.
Very good.
So our middle school RISE student for this month is 8th grader Charlotte Johnson. During this month, Charlotte was nominated twice by her teachers. Charlotte was described as responsible, respectful, and demonstrating excellence. Charlotte's teacher says that she is a true example of a pointer, hardworking, helpful, and honest. She admits mistakes. She asks teachers where she can help in her free time, such as stocking books or filing papers during the 8th period. So we appreciate Charlotte and all of her work at the middle school level. The high school RISE Award goes to 10th grader Eliza Leo. Eliza demonstrates the R and the E in RISE, relationships and excellence. Her teacher said she was incredibly supportive of her peers during student presentations. After students presented, she would give kind and encouraging feedback, and she was also an example to her peers of how to prepare for and deliver a wonderful speech in class. So congratulations to her. And our staff member RISE Award for the month. This staff member is described as amazing, funny, and kind. Students say this person explains things clearly and is always positive and fun. Students relate that this person is always helping others, is nice and thoughtful, and makes everyone happy, and is always in a good mood, and this is true. Students say anytime this person is around, they have a great time. And one student said, she treats everybody like her own kids. She loves everyone, and her smile makes me happy, and she brings joy to others. And that is Miss Kim Crockett. And I will say too, she is amazing and one of the most competitive staff members that we have. So congratulations, Ms. Crockett.
Congratulations to our student and the staff RISE awardees of the month. Also, I would like to officially announce at our December board meeting, we recognized our school-based teacher and support staff of the year. And so I would like to now announce that Miss Allison Gowers is the Division Teacher of the Year. And Mr. Dwight Friday is the Division Support Staff of the Year. And so hopefully very soon you will see a video pop up on social media where we went in and surprised both of those individuals in front of students and celebrated them. So those are all my recognitions for this month.
Thank you, Dr. Frazier. Okay, next we have a presentation on middle school, high school instructional presentation. Ms. Bird and Ms. Crum.
I'm just going to do a brief introduction because this is their presentation and their show. I do want to thank Ms. Crump and Maddie and Harper and Miss Wills, she's in the back. We talked over the summer about our students getting some job experience and job training. And so Ms. Crump spent some time over the summer reaching out to other divisions, other teachers, and really looking for some opportunities to help our students grow and have some job experience. So I will let her take it away because this was their creation.
Good evening, Dr. Frazier, Mr. Leach, and board members. My name is Casey Crump, and I am a teacher at West Point Middle and High School. Before I begin my presentation, I want to thank Ms. Bird and the admin team for their continuous support and initial approval that allowed our idea to come into fruition. Thank you to our staff members who continue to support our students in this venture and keep us full of orders. And last but certainly not least, thank you to Megan Wills, who she's trying to hide back there, my colleague and classroom interventionist / teacher. I could not do this without her. Functional academics for our students requires more hands-on learning and active engagement. It can be difficult to teach life skills without actually physically practicing job-ready skills. And our goal is to prepare our students to transition beyond our four walls, which makes me sad, but happy, and be productive members of society. So this inspired the creation of the Pointer Express. So I'm just going to keep quiet. All right, our purpose again is providing hands-on learning opportunities for our students with disabilities. I thought this video was going to play, but it will? Okay, let's go ahead, Mr. Lynch.
Well, it did
This is just one day. Should we this off?
I just figured, I just want to get there.
Okay, so that's just a little glimpse into one day of the coffee cart.
Yes.
And that was right before break, as you can tell, with all the Christmassy themed things going on. This is our team. So we have Harper, and she's in 7th grade, and then Maddie, who is in 11th grade. And then Miss Wills and I being silly on our anything but a cup day. Cup day. So that is our team. We have our values. We are very student-centered. We're allowing our students to make a positive connection with staff all throughout the building. We're trying to be innovative with the card by providing those hands-on experiences, job-ready skills, real-life practices, and soft training skills. And then our relationships, where we're building relationships with communication and just engaging throughout our order and our delivery, the whole from start to finish. Some goals, we want to develop functional and life skills, foster independence, build social and communication skills, and enhance with real world money management and customer service. Sometimes our customers try to be tricky and say, Maddie, how much do I owe you? Or did I give you enough? And they'll try to be tricky. Or they give us lots of coins, which is totally fine because that works too. So we are definitely embracing
Money
all.
is money.
Yeah. So a part of our coffee cart, we started to incorporate treats. And let me tell you, if we don't have treats, they are yelling at us. What do you have for treats? Where are your treats?
Oh my
So,
gosh.
Maddie's making, in this picture, a lemon blueberry muffin, which I think Mr. Leach had when he visited us one
Yes.
day.
Oh, yeah.
I ordered that one. And I think he said it was the best thing he ever
It was very
tasted.
good,
I
yeah.
love you.
And so, and then in the picture, you can notice too that the coffee sleeves are actually mostly decorated by our students. When they go to art, because that's a part of their daily class, routine of their classes in general, they decorate the coffee sleeves to give it a personal touch for each customer. So they're all different. We try to be, sometimes we put silly quotes on them or just, personal drawings. And then I just kind of elaborated more on like when we operate. We're every Friday morning, unless there's a Friday off like this past Friday, in which we bump into Thursday. We try to offer coffee and tea and hot chocolate and light snacks. We're working on math skills, handling money, and giving change and tracking inventory. And then all of our staff we serve, students really try to get in on this one. Like, it's a really hard thing.
I would say.
Yes, and we let them be involved in everything, every operation, every step, and we're just encouraging more interactions and more, communication with our customer base. Because of that, we decided we wanted to explore other coffee shops. So Miss Bird hooked us up with Sweet Tooth Cafe. She happens to know the owner.
Oh, I was like, whoa!
I do not know. I've been holding out on you. She reached out to her and facilitated us being able to go. So we took a trip, the four of us.
Yes.
We got to go behind the scenes. It happened to be raining that day, so like nobody came in, which was a little bit of a bummer because the girls were actually gonna like kind of wait on people. But
Yes.
we will go back. But in the meantime, we got a one-on-one and it was amazing. The food was incredible. So if you've never been, it is on Main Street in Gloucester. Highly recommend. And this is just more of us on the coffee. You never know what's going to happen, who you're going to see. It's always a fun time.
Yep.
And then we got asked by NHS to bake for them for their induction ceremony. So we took what we had been doing and we made it into cupcakes and cookies for their event, which was a neat way for them to support us instead of buying outside and us working on those cooking skills. And this is our last video. Just one more.
Dad's name is Willis.
So thank you very much for having us and giving us this opportunity to share with you what we're doing this year. We're hoping to keep it going and growing, and we're just very thankful to have this opportunity. So, thank you.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Great
Good
job.
job.
So we have treats that we would like to share with the board. If you would so like, you do not have to nominate anyone or take one. But the girls made these today. They're just vanilla cupcakes with buttercream icing.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome to it. You're good. That's okay.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you.
Might you decorate the cart for the different occasions?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, is it gonna be all full of hearts soon?
Yep.
Yep, okay.
We'll see.
Very good.
Man, that's a very important job for from someone who drinks a lot of coffee.
I know, but
He's
still,
got-
I use my hot chocolate.
She likes I tried to convince her she liked coffee, but that didn't go.
You're providing the fuel for that staff to make it through to the weekend.
Oh, right.
Yes.
Very important.
And guess what? My mom knows coffee. And sometimes I say I'm 18, I gotta drink 19. And I'm
I bet you might like coffee.
Yes.
When you're 19, you're
Yes.
It's an acquired.
I'm just in coffee.
Oh, that's great. All right. Next up are reports. Mr. Hudgens, fall athletic.
First of all, thank you all for having me out tonight. Congratulations to our 2 new school board members. Great to see you all here. I also want to say sorry if this one is a little bit quicker than normal. I know.
Thank you.
My presentation will also be nowhere near as good as
Yeah, I was going to say, that's a tough act to follow.
Okay, you
Not
should go
even
first.
close.
I bet you ain't bringing treats.
That's right. But like I was saying, apologize. This is a little bit quicker than normal. I got to get back to the high school to do the announcing for tonight's game, where I'll have a bunch of very angry basketball players on my hands. I do not want that. So without further ado, I'm going to do a little recap of our 2024 West Point High School fall sports. First off, this is all of our fall teams that we had this year. We have to say across the country, both boys and girls. We had JV and varsity for football. We were very fortunate enough to be able to have a JV team for football because not every school is that fortunate. Participation is going down across the board in the state, so we were very happy about that. We also had golf, JV and varsity sideline cheer, JV and varsity volleyball. They had a whole army, it felt like, as you'll see in the next slide. And then our one-act team as well. So this is just the numbers of athletes on each team I wanted to break down. So for cross country, we had 21. We ended up having more JV football players than varsity this year. We attribute that to a very large, athletically inclined 8th grade class. Our golf team numbers, as you can see, if you remember from last year, they have doubled, or I guess one more than doubled. So we were absolutely thrilled to see that. We had a very large sideline cheer squad, totaling 28 in total. And then, as I kind of alluded to earlier, we had a whole army for our volleyball team. We had 36 girls. It was quite a bit, and we'd love to see everybody coming out. And then our one-act team as well had 20. So I broke it down from last year to this year, a little comparison. Last year, we had 132 total fall student athletes. This year, we have 162, which again, I attribute largely to the 8th grade class right now. There's a lot of athletes in the 8th grade class. And if I did my math right, which I'm an AD, not a math teacher, so hopefully I did it right, but about 52% of students in grades 8 through 12 participated in one of our sports or activities in the fall. So we were really, really happy with that number. All right, kind of breaking it down, going team by team now. We're going to start with cross country. I'm just going to say it now so I don't say it with every single slide. I got to thank Mr. Agnew for all of his amazing photos. I don't think we realize just how truly blessed we are with him and everything he does for totally free for us. No charge at all. Yep. I just seen him, he was at a basketball game Thursday night at the triple header. So moving on to kind of just a season overview for him. The boys placed 4th in the district and in the region. Out of those boys, Pearson Chapman and Quinn Agnew qualified for the state competition. And in the girls, it says NA, simply because we can never get everybody healthy at the same time in order to have a team placing. At districts, somebody was sick, and then that person got back, but then another one was injured for regionals. So we just never were able to get everybody at the same time, the same place, to be able to, hit that final qualifier for regions and districts. But Lena Sanders and Envy Nguyen both qualified for the state competition on the girls' side as well. We had a couple all-district honors. Names are going to be a little different because, again, people were sick, people were hurt from meet to meet. But Quinn Agnew placed 6th at the district meet, and Tara Henrich placed 14th. They used to just do top 10 for all districts, but it was actually voted in this year among the ADs to extrapolate that to top 15 to kind of match the all region, because that's what we were already doing for the all region all award. So we just decided to match that for the district as well. We had a few more all-region A honors runners. Lena Sanders, she placed 6th, and we got 4th. It's funny to see them two kind of trade back and forth where they end up. One will beat the other, and the next week the other will beat the other one. Quinn did very, very similar to how he did at districts with 7th at regionals. And then Pearson, the old P, he got 15th for all region, which qualified all 4 of these for the state competition. At states, Quinn was our highest placer at 29th. Pearson would place 62nd, Lena at 33rd, and Envy at 52nd. If you don't know anything about the cross-country state meet, especially this year over in Blacksburg, it was a very, very hard course. It was very uphill from what I heard, and running uphill don't really mix that well, especially for me. But you'll have that.
How many runners, give or take, are running? Like he's 62nd, she's 52nd. Like out of how
At
many?
the state meet?
Yeah.
About
It's 100, yeah. It's up there. It's a good
You
amount.
got 15 from each region, so that's 60, but then that's just teams. Then you can have individuals qualify, so yeah, it's probably 90
Quite a few.
or more.
No, so we were very thrilled with their placements. They did absolutely phenomenal, especially considering, you know, a hard course that they're not really used to around here. There's not even really courses that have that much uphill to them around here. So very happy with that. Moving on to our golf team. Like I said, they doubled in size from last year, so we were extremely, extremely happy with the turnout that we had. You can see pretty much all of them pictured down in that bottom picture there. Again, it was kind of the same as cross country. Somebody was either sick or hurt a lot, so it's hard to get all of them together in the same place. But they had a phenomenal year. I give kudos to them just for trying golf, to be honest with you. If you've never played golf, I don't recommend that you play it. Just to be very honest. It's a very hard sport to figure out. I played baseball my whole high school career, and I did not figure out how to play golf to save my life. Like, it's just kudos to them for trying, especially at a young age. It's hard, it really is. But like I said before, they doubled in size from last year. They had their first win, and I could not ever get an actual timeline nailed down from talking to different coaches and everybody. But they said first win in multiple years. We're talking probably at least 4, 5, 6 years looking back. So they were extremely, extremely happy about that. Overall, the future is very bright for the golf program. It's a very fun group to be around, which you have to be a fun group if you're playing golf a lot. Because it's so aggravating. I'm just being honest. But they really did make the best of it. You know, even if they were slicing every single ball into the woods or completely missing the ball, like nobody ever made another student feel down, you know, for their ability level. And it really was just a phenomenal team to be around in general. Moving on to our football team. This year was a little bit more of a rebuilding year for football. We did graduate 17 seniors last year, so anytime you lose that many people from a football team, it's going to be very hard to be extremely competitive. So they ended up with a 4-7 record overall, which was good enough for 3rd in the district and 8th in the region. So we did qualify for the region playoffs. Unfortunately, we did lose in the first round to Essex, but the boys that came out, they played a phenomenal game in that region playoff. Honestly, at the first drive, I thought we honestly might beat them because they came out and just kind of, you know, hit them in the mouth at the start. They got down the field, but it's kind of a numbers game at that point. Essex had 60 kids and we had 20, you know, so it kind of is what it is. But overall, again, a great group to be around. Something I was really happy to see was this past summer, I ran a weight room for the football team. And I had anywhere between 15 to 20 kids coming in every single day over the summer to come in and work out, which to me is a phenomenal turnout for something like that, something that's voluntary. And every single student athlete that came in from their first day to their last hit a personal record, and either the squat, bench, deadlift, or all 3 by the end of the summer. So we were extremely, extremely happy with that. That's something that I really want to continue with each and every year. Because not only football players, every single student athlete needs to be in the weight room and training in order to be the best that they can be. We had a lot of all-district honors for our football team. For the first team offense, we had Larry Lovell and Ben Folks. For the defense, we had Calvin Robinson. We're going to miss Calvin a lot. He was a very pivotal senior for us and wishing nothing but the best. We also had Mr. Ben Folks on that first team all-district. Moving on to the second team, we had DeLon Randall, Khalil Carter, and Jackson Eversole for the offense. And then on the defensive side, Larry again, you'll see his name again. We had Ryan Stanley, Chris Delaney, Aiden Radcliffe, and Jackson Eversole rounding out that second team all defense. This is moving on to the all region honors. We weren't fortunate enough to have any first team. We were very close with one, but we did get a few second teamers. Again, Larry Lavelle, Khalil Carter, and Ben Folks all were on the second team for offense. Cal Robinson, Ben Folks, and Jackson Eversole rounding out the second team for all defense. Moving on to our one-act team. Again, another stellar performance, especially last year as well. They placed first in the region and in the super region, which we actually had the ability to host here at West Point this year. So it was really good days, both of those. I have to thank Ms. Hammond for all of her help and everything she does. I shouldn't even say help, she does it all. I just pretend to help her. We placed third at the state this year. We did have quite a few individual awards as well. At Regions, we had two outstanding actors, Orion Soderholm and Ariana Adams. And then again, our outstanding director, Ms. Bev Hammond. And then Super Regions, again, Ms. Bev Hammond with the outstanding director. Orion was fortunate enough to win outstanding actor. And then top performer / honorable mention, which is just a tier slightly below that outstanding actor, was Miss Ariana Adams. If you didn't get a chance to come see the play this year, it was a really great play. I'm not one, honestly, for going and watching plays too much myself, but every year I will be there to see Miss Hammonds because it seems like she's just turning in stellar play after stellar play. The theme of this year's play was called The Cages We Build. It was essentially how, people build these stereotypes around us, and we need to break out of these stereotypes to show who we truly are. And it was just a phenomenal message. There was not a lot of dry eyes afterwards, to be honest with you. So, phenomenal job by our one-act team. Moving on to our sideline cheer team. Just a quick caveat, I think that picture with Taylor and the little girl is my favorite picture right there. Just so happy. Our sideline cheer team is phenomenal, head coached by Miss Holly Lord. They do anything in the world that I ask of them, and even outside of that. They bring so much spirit and energy to our school every day, decorating the halls, decorating lockers for our student athletes, getting them whatever they need, showing up at different events such as cross country, and bringing goodies and all of that kind of good stuff. They're a phenomenal group of ladies to be around. They're just as nice as they can be. They started off really strong with an impressive turnout at tryouts. As I said earlier, they had 16 varsity cheerleaders and 12 JV cheerleaders. I think the running joke among the cheerleading and football team was, hey, can we borrow some cheerleaders to come play at this game today? But throughout the season, they were very active and engaged with the community. They participated in the Crab Carnival Parade. They helped welcome back teachers at convocation. They hosted a car wash fundraiser. They led a clinic for elementary school students, organized an alumni cheer night, and assisted the athletic department with a breast cancer recognition event, which was a phenomenal event. We got to recognize a few ladies that had to go through their struggles with breast cancer. And that's something that I definitely want to keep doing every single year to get them that recognition. They also increased school pride through some themed spirit days. We had a lot of spirit days. Pep rallies that are absolutely phenomenal. I dare say there's not any better in the state of Virginia. And then they also came to the volleyball games to support the cheerleaders. I think the picture might be back here. Yes, so you can see it right there in the middle. They would get our student section even more hyped up and bring a lot more energy and spirit to them. And you could tell the difference in the gym between a game where the cheerleaders were there and when they weren't there. So very thankful for all that they did for us and for the school in general throughout the school year. Moving on to volleyball. Again, a great group of ladies to be around. As I said earlier, we had an army of them, 20 JV and 16 for varsity. So there was no shortage of players, that's for sure. But they really had a great time, and volleyball is one of my favorite sports to watch just because of how much they get the crowd involved. With the different chants and my favorites, the O-U-T, out, and I can just imagine what's going on in the other team's head, like, really? That's O-U-T out? And then you start ricocheting it between the sides of the stands. It really is a great atmosphere to play in and to be around. They ended up with a 13-13 record overall. They were third in the district and fourth in the region, which got us to host a home playoff game against Westmoreland, which we're unfortunately not able to come out on top of, but the ladies played a great game nonetheless. We had some all-district and all-region honors as well. For first-team all-district, we had Miss Gabby Stover, which I love watching her play. She gets after it. She's got this intensity, this aggressiveness to get after the ball. That's something that's hard to just naturally come by. We also had Morgan Wagner, who was second-team all-district, and Gabby was also awarded second-team all-region for this year. So again, with 36 players to choose from, the program is looking very, very bright for the future. We just want to say, lastly, thank you. I'll scream April's praises until I'm blue in the face. There's not anybody better, to be honest with you. I don't know what I would do without her. Obviously, all my coaches, volunteers, parents, Miss Paula hasn't missed a game since I've been here, and I've missed games, so that says something. Miss Faye, Miss Amos, she's always around, willing and able to help. Mr. Simpkins for doing his normal announcing duties in the booth. Joel Mooney, who does the clock for me every single football game. Shane Donahue, same thing. He did every single volleyball game. So it took a huge stress off of me to not have to find clock operators, because that is very stressful, especially right now in basketball season. I almost wasn't here tonight because I couldn't find one. It is what it is. A huge thank you to Risa and Eric Reed for all their help that they do in the concession stand with me. They make it so easy on me. It's really is truly a blessing what y'all do, so thank you so much. And so many other people. It takes a village to do what we do, and it's not easy, and a lot of the times it's a very thankless job. So we just say a broad, huge thank you to everybody. It looks like we have a video. Sweet.
We do. So one act is not in this. So one act will be in the spring because well, so you guys kept going. You guys kept.
Yeah, y'all from the States.
So come back in the spring or
Be so good, man.
in March. It'll be in the winter.
Oh. We would have been too impressive.
Thank you all very much. If you don't have any questions for me, I'm going to go announce, so I don't have a bunch of high school boys yelling at me when I get back.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
all.
you.
Appreciate your time.
Alright, we have another report. Anti-vaping program. Sir.
Okay, well, I get to follow all that up with vaping. So I just kind of wanted to, this is going to be very brief, but vaping across the country in our middle and high schools is an epidemic. And it's taking its toll on our kids, and West Point is not exempt from the vaping epidemic. But I wanted you all to kind of hear and see what we're doing as a school and some of the things the successes we've had and some of the challenges we're having and where we're headed. Mr. Leach, I have a.
Yes.
Is it a good? Okay. Oh, look at that. Okay. So, I was stuck on his hating golf, but anyway. So, just wanted to share with you some of the things about vaping and the anti-vaping things that we're doing here. You know, as we all know, and we appreciate our partnership with the Donovan Group, we're really putting some things out there for parents and for families about the dangers of vaping and what's in them. Parents and families working together is our best first defense for students. Because of the lack of regulations, sometimes there's more nicotine, there's more than nicotine in these things. They're delivering more than a pack of cigarettes. There's possibly more in them than just nicotine. They're super easy to get. I was going to bring one to show you, but I thought I don't want to get in trouble for the property. So we have signed, and it hasn't started yet, but VCU reached out to Dr. Frazier that when we get vapes and collect them, we will, when they're ready to get started, we'll send them to them and they will do a chemical analysis for us so we can find out what's in the vapes that are in our area. Like, do we have more concerns other than just nicotine? You know, what's happening with those? Vapes are highly addictive to a teenage brain. And I just want to point this out because a lot of parents and faculty members too get upset. They're like, we have this detection system. What's going on with that? So it's always good to remind ourselves we have a weapons detection system. It's looking for density, shapes, etc. It's not a metal detector. And so vapes are mostly plastic. So the small component parts are not going to be picked up through the metal detection system, through the weapons detection, but our wands do get them. You know, so we have things that can get those. Prior to Christmas, we've got to reinstate this. Mr. Walker, our operations security safety guru, we just kind of pick random days where we will do a initial screening through weapons detection, and then we'll do our random screening with wands as well. So that, you know, it keeps everybody on their toes, so to speak. But also with the detectors that we have, we've been very pleased with the accuracy of those. It's kind of funny, it took the kids a long time to figure it out. We were really shocked. But we have found they have been very effective. We've only had, I think we've had one false positive on that. We found one, but generally when we get alerts, there's something happening. So I know we're going to expand that program, and it's really been helpful just trying to find those students who are habitual users, and we need to get them help. And that's a piece of this that we're really concerned about, because as you see, their kids want to quit. In the last, the week before Christmas until last week, we've had 3 high schoolers approach either myself or a counselor saying, I want to quit and I can't. Which is very sad. And they're not the only ones, I'm sure. So a couple of things we have going on, and under that community partnerships piece, we have started reaching out to the Community Services Board, to our Thrive counselor, to local counseling agencies, for that reason, because breaking addiction counseling is very different from regular therapy. You know, school counselors are not licensed therapists, and they aren't trained in addiction counseling either. So that's my our biggest focus right now is finding these students the resources they need, so when they reach out for help, we have a place for them to go. And if you've worked in adolescent mental health recently, you know there's a lack and a need of just any kind of service for teens. If they're not in crisis, you're looking at a 6 to 9 month wait list typically, even for therapy. But just know, like, if you have any resources or know people, you know, we're really scouring the streets for help for our students who are coming to us asking for help. as far as prevention, we do have things going through health and PE. And I didn't put this on the slide because I wanted to verify they were coming back before I put it up there. I didn't want to give you false information. But we have a partnership with the Middle Peninsula Northern Neck CSB. They have a 15-week program. It's a research-based program, and I'll give you the name of it. It's called Botvan Life Skills Training Program. And they send instructors that are trained in this program to our 6th grade. So they're coming, I believe it is next month, she told me on Friday. So it's not just like anti-tobacco, anti-drugs, it's teaching them the skills that they need to reduce the risk of risky behaviors, you know. So it kind of covers the gamut. So they started that, I believe, last year, and they're continue this year. They work with a lot of divisions in our region. So they will be coming into the 6th grade here soon. We're very, very happy about that. So that's part of our prevention. Our community partnerships, again, we continue to work with them, but we really are looking for some specifics about helping students break addiction. And then for parent information, we've had the resources on social media. The school counselors are putting things on their newsletters. You know, if anybody approaches you all, the last post for parent resources, there are some 1-800 numbers for national hotlines. You know, one of them is to counsel students on breaking that addiction, which is to me is great if you can't find anything else, but teenagers like people they can sit with and talk to and that they need. So, but those resources are great and they are available to families. That's been put out quite a bit as well. So, just kind of wanted to keep you all in the loop where we are with this. As I said, we're very concerned about our kids. We're concerned about the addictive nature of these. And that's kind of where we stand. So I don't know if you had any questions, but just wanted to give you some accurate information about some of the things we're doing to help our students.
Have we thought about, I mean, this might be a crazy idea, but given the 4 vape shops that are nearby, have we thought about going and talking to them, just encouraging them, hey, please make sure you're IDing these kids? I don't know. I'm trying to think. There's so many, unfortunately, there's so many in this small town that they have access to. I don't know how we can entice them not to sell it, but maybe just a nice, simple please and thank you would be sufficient. I mean, you just never know. Like maybe
you never know.
I don't know.
I'm happy. Listen, I'm happy to show up at anybody's.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm being nice, but yes. Yeah. And you know, working with officers, part of the problem is too the court system is really not willing to take a lot of vape charges until it's been multiple offenses at school. So we really lost some teeth with the court system
To hold them accountable.
So that one's been kind of tough. But hey, I'm happy to take some moms and dads and show up at all of them, and you know, anything to give it a try because you know, we've got kids who they're starting younger and younger, and it's just become a big problem. So, anything else?
I think that parent information too is really helpful. I know when vaping first became a thing, I had several students that I knew of whose parents were buying it for them because they thought it was a safer alternative to cigarettes, and it's not. And so I think the education side of it for parents is certainly helpful too.
It is, and I'm throwing a guesstimate out here, but a small portion of the kids who we've caught vapes from is their parents. You know, because parents have made the switch too, and they're just so easy to get. They're so easy to find. You know, and you know, we've had several parents sit at the desk go, "Yeah, that was mine." You know, so yeah, that's a tough one.
Thank you.
study 25-26 calendars to each.
Yes, you have in the packets, several different things. You have a draft, calendar. We did a survey, at the beginning of this month. So I'll go over that analysis briefly, but you have that, and then also you have all the comments, from the survey that was provided. So we did a survey, it was open from January 7th through the 14th. We had 268 responses. Just over half of those were from parents of a student, but then we also had about 34% of employees take the survey as well. It was good to see that 87% were somewhat satisfied with their current calendar, and then about 9 or 10% were kind of neutral, either satisfied or dissatisfied. I do think we went up from last year. We had one that was very dissatisfied, one person very dissatisfied last year. We doubled that, now we have two that are very dissatisfied with calendar. So hopefully we can get that back down to one for next year. But a lot of the feedback, they really appreciated eliminating half days. And I think this was from the student side and the parent side. Thanksgiving break, while the majority really liked the full week, I think we had a little more feedback that they thought was too long. And I think that was more from parents just with the child care piece. I don't know that any staff member said it was not long enough.
That was not a teacher.
Yes. Talking about spring break, that while we tried to reach out to other schools in our region to align it, sometimes it's just impossible to do that with everything. So there were some comments to try to work on that a little bit more. Also trying to go back, several years ago we used to align it with Easter. So there were still a few people holding on to that to try to align it with Easter. But for the most part, schools are usually the first week of April or the last week of March. That's pretty consistent. A couple comments about graduation being scheduled on Memorial Day. We're trying to move it for people that want to travel. And that was similar with fall break. They all love fall break, but someone asked if we could move it from Crab Carnival so they could enjoy fall break and still be here for Crab Carnival. Wasn't a giant number, but there were a few comments as you go through, you'll see that. And then we also had some comments about make sure we move the workday, teacher workday, to the end of the quarter. So I think at the first quarter this year, we had it like right before or right at the end of the quarter, but it wasn't following the end of the quarter. So teachers had asked for that, and they also asked for a half day before winter break. That was something that changed this year to a full day. But other than that, really some other highlights. The majority of the calendars stayed relatively similar to this past year. New teachers would report on August 4th. All teachers come back on August 5th. Students would come back on Monday, August 18th. We would have 2 early release days. One the day prior to winter break, and then the last day of school. So that would give us 173 full days and 2 early release days. Our current calendar has 174 full days and 1 half day. So again, pretty similar. We just added that half day in. Since we're starting prior to Labor Day, we need to do a 4-day weekend around Labor Day. So that's why we have the Friday off of August 29th and September 1st. As of now, it's still listed on your draft calendar of fall break around Crab Carnival, which is October 3rd. The full week of Thanksgiving break. We have 2 full weeks off at winter break, December 22nd through January 2nd. Spring break is something that the board needs to consider. As I've reached out to other divisions, it's kind of split. So some have April 6th through the 10th, and some have March 30th through April 3rd. So I was really hoping they'd all say they were going the same week, and that didn't happen. One thing to consider, 2 things to consider: Bridging Communities, they are going March 30th through April 3rd. So that's the New Kent calendar. So how that aligns, and also Easter is April 5th. So that was some comments that you got. You'll see that aligns for break around Easter. So if you went 6 through 10, that would give Easter Monday off or add a day. But that's just something else to consider. Graduation would be on Friday, May 22nd. The last day of school for students would be Friday, May 29th. So no action tonight. This is just for your review in hopes that we can improve it in February to let families, teachers, and staff know and plan ahead.
Was there any I don't know if you made a note of it. So were there any comments from the people who were very dissatisfied? Could we tell who wrote very dissatisfied and then if they left a comment as to why they were so dissatisfied or?
I didn't go through each individual one.
What?
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. I didn't know if it was like.
No, but it'll show you like what number respondent it was.
Okay.
And I think some people are still caught up on starting before Labor Day. So I think they want to start after Labor Day. But I also think they want to get out before Memorial Day. So it's tough to, tough to balance.
The weather's so much nicer in June than August. Like, it's much better for that.
But yeah, there were a few comments about moving back to starting after Labor Day. And I would think those would probably align to the ones that aren't really satisfied.
And I might be mistaken, but didn't the whole idea of a fall break, didn't that originate because of Crab Carnival? Okay, that's what I thought. So.
Where would fall break fall if you looked at like, let's say, middle of the, first 9 weeks? Is that the fall break or is it just?
Usually September and October are pretty long without a break. So you could move it up to the 26th, which is that Friday before Crab Carnival. Really you have flexibility where you can move it to that Monday of that same week.
Remember, it also started as a 2-day, that's 2 days off. And now it's down to 1 day. So the feedback from the superintendent's advisory is it's not as much of a break as it was. So it wasn't a big deal to me.
I take it. Oh, the spring break, the schools that you said were divided, are they ones within our district of like sports or are
Yeah,
they?
so I reached out to Gloucester, King, Queen, King William, Matthews, Middlesex, and New Kent. There's one division that I didn't hear back from. I won't name any names.
I don't think they've done their calendars, so that would be why.
And then some have 2 drafts, but almost everyone's starting around the same time. Almost all Thanksgiving breaks align, whether they're a full week or 3 days. Winter breaks all aligned, and probably about half for March 30th and April 3rd, half for April 6th through the 10th. And some that were 6 through 10 had talked about then moving it back up to March 30th. So for instance, I believe King William already approved their calendar, but they're gonna go back and look at adjusting theirs, and same with Middlesex.
And so they were listed for April 6th.
Currently, they're listed for April 6th, but they mentioned that they may look to go back April, March 30th, April 3rd.
Well, they're both in Bridging also, right?
And you said that when's Easter?
Easter's April 5th.
Yeah.
So it's either the Sunday after break or it's the Sunday of break. Or we do have time built in if you even wanted to look at having a 6-day spring break, we could probably make that work too, to have Easter Monday off. And still have time built in.
I mean, being in line with bridging, I think is probably top priority. Because I know it's terrible when these kids go to bridging or governor's school or whatever, and they have spring break off in their high school, but then they still have to go to their other school and vice versa, so.
I think that was a big discussion point at the end of last year when we were talking about this too, to try to align with that calendar.
Yeah.
The same thing happens with Virtual Virginia too, with during the breaks.
Who do they align with?
I don't know.
Yeah,
But I know that he still has work to do sometimes when we're on breaks, because they haven't gone on their break yet.
I believe virtual regions a little earlier because I think they start their semester earlier.
Yeah.
Really?
Because they finish usually middle of May.
It would be great if we could just get all those other schools to.
Live with us.
If I get
With bridging communities is what I'm saying.
If I get any other additional information about that spring break, I'll let you guys know. But again, if you have any other questions or if I get other information, I'll share it. So the hope is that February you'll be able to approve the calendar to share it.
At our general meeting.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Leach. The policy, Dr. Frazier.
Yeah, so we have one policy that's under study. And actually it is actually a regulation, and so I don't typically need board approval for the regulation, but with this topic, I wanted you all to be fully aware, as folks in the community may have something to say. But this relates to the use of the auditorium, and so there have been some instances where checks have been returned, where folks have not been able to pay their amounts, and so the checks have bounced. And so we plan to implement a $25 at minimum fee if checks are returned, so the school division does not have to incur those fees. And also, if needed, we would either stop renting to people who put us in those situations, or require them to pay with a cashier's check or money order prior to using the facilities. Those folks are also required to pay the staff that's working with the events, and we've had instances where those checks have bounced as well. And so we need to make sure that we put some things in place to help protect the school division. And so that's why I wanted you all to be able to see that, and all of us to be on the same page when it comes to the community use of the auditorium.
Next is the weight room.
So this is pretty exciting as we continue to make some progress towards a weight room. And so we know that we've seen some preliminary specs of a building, but when getting into the building process, we have to have actual professional drawings done, and we have to have an actual design process done. And so we have received a proposal from Crabtree and Associates. You all know that we are working with Crabtree and Associates on our facility study, our architectural designs, and everything was to look at growth and construction for our schools. And so the proposal for them to provide the design work for the weight room is included in your packet. We do have an upcoming retreat where we can have further conversations about it, and then take that up for a vote to be able to move forward in this process. Any questions?
All right, board discussion, meeting expectations, Ms. Sturts.
So last year I'd asked for us to consider having kind of an agreement on how we handle discussions, especially when it comes to voting, because there was a vote that took place, and then we had a discussion about a topic. There wasn't any dissension seemingly in the discussion, but then there was a vote of dissension. And I don't have a problem with the vote of dissension, so just to clarify, I voted that way sometimes myself. But I think it's really important that we always vocalize to the people why we are voting the way we are voting, and especially if it's something counter to what the discussion has played out. Not that it's wrong or that you shouldn't do that, but I just think that we need to really be promoting transparency as much as possible. And I know it threw me off, and when that happened. And so I want us to reconsider that. We had this discussion before and it got tabled. So I'm hoping that we can reach consensus that when we have discussions on voting matters, that I think we all should have to vocalize where we stand and why we stand there for the sake of our people who vote us in here.
Talking about every action item?
Like when we're talking about like policies, I'm not talking about like the budget, or not the budget, the expenditures or things like that. I'm talking about the things that have come up where it is something that's new, it's something that has garnered discussion, especially when we're having a discussion and if you're gonna vote no and there's been discussion, I think that you should say why you're voting no. Or if everybody else is saying no and you're gonna say yes, I think you should have to say why you're voting that way. Like, the people need to know why we're voting the way we're voting. Obviously, expenditures are, I feel like that's a given. Like, we're voting for expenditures because it's okay with what's in there. But when we're talking about like policies, we're talking about, you know, if we're gonna, you know, vote for the weight room, like, I think we have to say, this is why we're voting for the weight room. It could just be its little blurb. It doesn't have to be like a dissertation and a whole long, you know, inaugural address. But I think that we need to be as transparent as possible with the voters in our community. That was the first thing. I don't know if anybody else is.
Yeah, I don't have any opposition to the principle that you're after. More so the reason I was asking the question is, you know, how would you frame that into context of an expectation? And the only thing I can think of is I know we're going to talk about a code of conduct for school board members, so maybe if there's some language crafted there that you've got in mind as far as for an expectation in a contentious discussion about further explanation, that might be a good vehicle for it.
I would agree that it's probably a good place to house that information.
Yeah.
But I'm also wondering if, as we have 2 new board members, and these two new board members are learning, this is their first meeting, and we're going to have a retreat on Saturday, where we're building relationships, we're going through some team building activities. We are looking at what our duties are. We're looking at governance and all of those things. Is that the place where we can talk about what we expect from each other a little more and hash that out, and then come back and we can, even tonight, we can table the code of conduct and then maybe add some of these things to the board code of conduct. So then we have the document that we're saying we're all on the same page, and this is what we expect of each other as board members.
Yeah.
Like that.
That sounds good to me.
We'll have time built into the
We will
retreat
have
for
time
working agreements and code of conduct.
Perfect, thank you.
The next, the comment periods, Ms. Sturts.
Yes, so-
Talk about this. Is this board stuff or is this more structure? Structure.
Yeah, structure. Something that came to mind when I first started attending board meetings, we had comment periods at the very beginning. And then I know some of our thoughts was, you know, well, maybe it should be at the end because maybe they're already gonna discuss something that we're gonna bring up. But then I also realized, well, when we do it at the end, then people are commenting after we've already voted potentially on maybe what the issue is that they're coming to discuss. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, our town council does comments before and after, has 2 different comment periods. And I thought that might be a good thing for us to implement, because if there's something that is specific on the agenda, especially if it's an item we're gonna be voting on, and someone has come to the meeting to speak on it, it doesn't really do them any good to speak on it after we've already voted on it. Whereas if we have 2 different comment periods, then it gives them that opportunity. Plus, things come up during the meeting that maybe someone who's in the audience would like to comment on, and then they can come up at the end and have a comment on that. So I think it's just adding to allowing the community a better voice and being able to have that freedom to tell us what they're thinking before and after we discuss things.
Would you do like one for like a comment period prior to action items, for action items only? Or would you say you could just comment about anything there and then still have the second one?
I mean, that's a good,
I'm just curious, like,
Yeah.
Are you saying just move it back to before action items, or are you saying have 2?
I'm saying have 2.
2. And,
Yeah.
And would the first be specifically for
Whatever's on the
action items?
agenda. I think whatever people have come here with the intent of talking about is the first one. And then the second one, I guess, is just potentially we talk about something and then somebody that's here wants to add a comment to it. And we know we have meetings where nobody comments at all, and that's fine, and then we have meetings where more people comment. I just think, I've been sitting here and I'm like, man, like what if someone's come to talk about something that we've already voted on? Then their voice isn't gonna be heard.
I like the first, I think, allowing the questions or the comments beforehand. Then that gives us kind of a, where we need to gauge and do our conversation. I don't know if doing them afterwards would be effective. That might be too much because we will have had to digest something and have time to think and process and kind of work through that. So I definitely like moving it to the beginning. I'm not sure about the two. I'm not saying it's bad or saying anybody would bring anything bad. I think it just may elongate the process but that's something, can we work through that too at the retreat, kind of the process of the meetings?
We definitely can work through that, and we also need to review our school board policy where it talks about delegations, because in some of this it talks about how folks have to sign up before the meeting, and so we may need to amend policy in order to accommodate a second delegation or a second comment period. But I definitely think that is something that's a little board to discuss further, and that really hash it out and look at what it is we're trying to do, what is our goal, and work through that. I think we can do that, and it might be beneficial to do that in our retreat as well. I'm trying not to put too much on the agenda, but we need to discuss our another retreat, we'll do that.
Does that sound good to everyone? That would just be another retreat item.
Yes, that's fine.
Right.
Thank you.
So Dr. Baker and I are working together to form the agenda for Saturday. And so I will get with him tomorrow and we'll work to add those two items to the conversation.
All right, thank you, Ms. Sturts. Action items. First up, we have approve our expenses and receive our revenue. Do I have a motion to consider approving our expenditures and receive revenue reports?
So moved.
I have a motion, and a second.
Second.
Any discussion? If not, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All that opposed, the motion carries. Likewise, we have our cafeteria expenditures. Do I have a motion to approve our cafeteria expenditures?
So moved.
I have a motion, and a second.
Second.
Any other discussion? If not, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All that opposed, motion carries. Personnel recommendations. Do I have a motion to approve our personnel?
So moved.
Motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? If not, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. We have a motion for donations, one donation for basketballs. Do a motion to approve donations.
So moved.
Do we have a second?
A second.
Any other discussion? If not, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the motion carries. So now our VSBA Code of Conduct. Dr. Fraser, is this something we want to table to incorporate into our retreat?
We will table this and have more discussion at our school retreat.
Do you need a vote to table, or are we good to just table it to table?
We are good to just table.
We will table. All right. Appointment of board members to committees. So,
Mr. Chair, if you all would like, I have some recommendations for committees.
Great.
I figured that might help in this discussion. And so trying to look at when some of these meetings are held, at thinking I might know some of the schedules of board members, knowing some of the strengths of folks. I do have some recommendations for you. So I would recommend that Ms. Lee serve on the Middle Peninsula Regional Special Education Advisory Committee, as she has served at least for the last 2 years on our division special ed advisory. I would recommend that Mr. Evans continue to serve on Virgin Communities, as Mr. Evans is currently the chair of Virgin Communities and helping to work through some significant things with Virgin Communities. I would recommend that Ms. Sturts continue to serve on the HERDA advisory, as I believe in the past that kind of worked with her school schedule to be able to jump on that Zoom meeting.
As long as I keep doing a Zoom,
I would recommend that Mr. Jenkins continues with the King William County Parks and Recreation Commission. I would recommend that Ms. Reed serve on the Arts Alive board. And I would also recommend that Mr. Evans serves as our delegate for VSBA, and Mr. Jenkins as our alternate. And if anyone wants to change any of that, it is an only recommendation.
Anyone want to trade anything? Everyone good with Dr. Frazier's recommendations? All right. If so, do I have a motion to consider appointing the board members to those committees?
So moved.
Motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Any other discussion? Not all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Dr. Frazier. Next are program of studies for the 25-26 school year. We've had this month or two now. Do I have a motion to approve our program of studies?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any other discussion? If not all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Policy revisions, Dr. Frazier.
Yes, and so in our last policy updates, there were two things that were brought to our attention, and since then we have been able to correct those two things, and so we have corrected the wording on the programs for students with disabilities, and so you can see those changes that are highlighted there. And just a little background, when this policy was first established, it was also focused on students that may be participating in some virtual programs that school divisions were responsible for. And so we have taken that language out, so it reads that we are responsible for special education for our students that live in West Point or that attend West Point Public Schools. So that also includes any of our tuition population if we can. You also have policy KJ, and it was recommended that the highlighted section here be removed, and we decided we're not going to do that. That was not aligned with what we thought we wanted to do. So it would be my recommendation that the board approve the policies with the changes made today.
We have a motion to approve the policy revisions.
So moved.
We have a motion, we have a second.
Second.
Any other discussion? If not, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Information.
The only item, there's a business honor roll. I'm not gonna go into detail about it because I want to be able to surprise that business at our next meeting. But I do want the board to review that so we can move forward with recognizing that business for the work that they've done for the school division. And also just as informational, I would like to begin to have some tours with school board members, getting folks in the buildings on the school days, and you can see how things are going and what our facilities are looking like, and the other copies of classrooms. And so we can do that, maybe being a board member one-on-one, we can try to schedule something where it's two board members. Remember, it cannot be more than two board members at a time where that constitutes a meeting. So I'll be reaching out, or even if you have some dates that you might be available and you want to send those my way, let's just kind of work on getting board members in our buildings.
Can I request Friday so I can get coffee from Patty?
Yes. Should always be Friday.
Yeah.
We can make some Fridays happen. I don't know if this Friday can happen because I have a meeting scheduled already.
All right. So you don't need any action on the order of you just went to.
I need to get signatures so I can upload it.
Is that the page that I have? Or does everybody have a page? Am I supposed to sign it and send it around?
No, there's one that Mr. Jenkins has.
Oh, okay, I was like, wait, do I have it? My bad.
And once that's done, we'll work on a press release and all of that to highlight, that business.
Delegations, Mr. Leach. All right, Ms. Hammond. State your name, where you live. 3 minutes. Under the spotlight. And it looks like you're talking about lighting, so you're under the spotlight.
I am. Hello, Dr. Frazier and Mr. Leach and school board members. Most of you know me except Miss Reed. Is it Miss or Mrs.? Mrs. Reed. And I want to let you know that I help form Arts Alive and I'm on the board, so if you have any questions, just ask me. I've taught some of you. I've taught your husband. I've taught your children. I work with them in drama, so most of you know me, and you know what my job is. I am the current drama director at West Point High School. However, this is my 53rd year working in the West Point Public Schools. First as an elementary teacher, and then I subbed, and while I was doing drama, this is my third year of doing high school drama. I'm coming to talk to you about the auditorium. Okay, I'm going to read this so I don't forget anything. All right, our auditorium is now 21 years old. I know that's hard to believe. It was built, when it was built, we had tungsten halogen lights were installed. We have a total of 72 lights in the auditorium, and they're becoming obsolete. That means we currently have ellipsoidals, Fresnels, and scoop lights that use 3 different lamps. Those are what we call our light bulbs that are not being manufactured as they were in the past years, and they're becoming very difficult to find. Where once they cost $15 to $16 each, our most recent order cost, and I do search for the lowest cost, was $19.44 per lamp. So if you think 72 lights times $19.44, you know what it's costing to light the auditorium. Okay, and fewer companies are producing them. Everybody's going to LED lights. So I also have 7 broken light fixtures at this moment, and I can't find anybody to work on them. And I certainly don't want to have to purchase more light fixtures that are going to be obsolete. So I just came because I want to give you a heads up what's coming. We have to have new lighting in the auditorium, or the auditorium is not going to be usable. It's not something that has to be done tomorrow. I know it can't be because it's expensive. I had a study done last year by a couple of gentlemen that work for a company that installs lighting in the performing arts facilities, and just to see what installation of LED lighting would entail and what it would cost. And it would be very expensive. But I also want to point out it's also very cost efficient. And I know now that you're spending plenty of money on electricity and all that for the auditorium. First of all, LED lights uses about 85% less energy consumption than what the halogen lights use. LED lighting has a much longer lifespan, produces minimal heat generation. You wouldn't have to run the air conditioner as much because of the heat generation of these lights, especially in the spring and summer. There's a lack of toxins involved in UV emissions, and it allows an infinite variety of colors, saving time and effort without climbing a ladder, which we have to do now. To change the color on the lights, we have to use cellophane gels that also cost quite a bit, like $10 a sheet, and you get 6 out of a sheet. And we have to climb on a 14-foot ladder to change the gels, to change the colors in these lights. You don't have to do that with LED lighting. Also, halogen lights have been disbanded for any use for domestic homes because of their use of energy and because of their toxic emissions. Okay, what it comes down to is in the future, a new lighting system must be installed or you will have an auditorium with no lights. The auditorium is used almost every day. I would say every day, wouldn't you think, Ms. Bird?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, every day for classes, assemblies, concerts, competitions, scholastic ball, musicals, plays, dance recitals, and even for funerals. All you have to do is simply go to the school website, go under West Point High School, look at the auditorium calendar, and you'll see what I mean. It's not really used much on Sundays. The installation, I wanted to bring this to your attention before it becomes a bigger problem. It's something that I know you're going to have to save for and look for funding and that kind of thing. So you can start planning and looking into raising the funds for the LED lighting installation so the auditorium will not itself become obsolete, and so you have time to work on future solutions. So I don't think you want to talk about it at your retreat, but it needs to come sometime in the future, and plans need to be made. The installation could be done in stages. I did ask that, so you could do it over a period of years. And there are many companies that do this work. I'm sure Mr. Evans, being in construction, knows some of these companies. The installation, I have some papers here that shows a little bit. I didn't bring the whole big thing that they did for me, and that didn't cost anything. They did it for free. But and this is a year old, but I will give you these basics. And don't faint at the price, but it's very high. But I want to suggest something, if I may. Perhaps you could explore the idea of contacting the Robinson and the Olson Foundations. I don't know, I know Larry Dillon was once involved in the Robinson Foundation because Arts Alive had got money each year. We got $15,000 a year for 20 years, and that just stopped in 2023. And also the Olson Foundation, because of course, William Robinson and Stuart Olson's names are on the facility. So they might be willing to work with you. Of course, I know you know about grants and that kind of thing. Are there any questions?
Very timely as we enter into budget season.
Yeah, it's you know, I had this study done a year ago, and we've been talking about it, and I just had to order 3 dozen lamps for our auditorium, which I have to do a few times a year, and it's just really hard to do. I do search, and I do have a gentleman that I work with that installed our light board, and he gives me a really good price, but $19.44 each for 72 lights, and we are constantly replacing. They go for about 2,000 hours, where LED lights go 20,000 hours. You know, so it's just something I just would like you to consider. And I will give you this. I'm not encouraging you to use this company by any means. But they were very nice to come out and work with us. And this quote, I'm sorry, is a year old. So it's more now. Have you ever heard of anything going down? But anyway, I thank you for letting me take this time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I need to go to play practice. My assistant director is taking care of it now. But thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I know, it's snowing, by the way.
Is it really?
Yeah,
I don't know how.
I got that message from my assistant director, it's snowing, so I'm gonna go out and look at the snow and see what I have to do. It's only supposed to be a half an inch. I checked the weather before I came. Thank you.
Thank you. Alright, so a few agenda items here. Calendars, fees, budget. As you see, our screening work session is for budget, and I will be out of town the 11th for that work session. I'll be in Vegas, so maybe I can. Maybe I can get us some lighting money. But it's a conference, it's strictly work.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
I wish it was somewhere else. I think that's it. Anything else, Dr. Frank? Good? Anything else? Nah, we have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
We are adjourned. Thank you all for coming.
We have some more to share if you'd like.
I was gonna say, I stick my finger in the ice. I want to do that.